Bachelor Happy Hour fans, I have sitting in front of me with a mouthful of pizza, Kelsey. Kelsey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of where I want to start with you.
Just bring it all. I'm ready for it.
Well, you survived Women Tell All. That's what I say. That's an honor in itself. How do you think it went? How do you think you did?
I think for the most part, I did okay. You know, I'm somebody that can embrace my flaws.
Yeah.
I can own up to when I was in the wrong, and just make humor of it. And that's what I tried to do. The thing about me is I did express to the girls in the house how I felt about them. I didn't talk crap in the interviews.
Oh, it's a rare characteristic.
People knew how I felt about them going into it, and we had most of everything hashed out.
Yeah.
I think the girls that didn't do that were a little bit more scared. So for me, it was just kind of like, all right, let's see what
I've said everything I need to say. That's a rare thing. I'm like that too. I'm very confrontational.
That's why it was controversial in the house.
Oh, because you said stuff?
I think so, because a lot of the girls, you know, would kind of say stuff a little bit, but then in their interviews, they would say more. So then it kind of got a little bit more controversial at the Women Tell All.
Yeah. I was talking to Sheehan because she said she's really close to Tammy. And I was thinking about this and I'm like, what went wrong? Because that night at Champagnegate, she was the one who was like right there with you.
But did you see her interviews?
Not at that point. They turned later.
But
they turned later.
If you actually paid attention, because
I gotta go back and watch now.
I was paying attention. She was talking about how crazy I was in that moment, how Peter needed to know and all this stuff. So she was already
in the champagne moment. But it was a crazy moment, Kelsey.
Oh, obviously.
It was a little
I went batshit. Let's be honest.
Granted, I laughed. I actually took up for you on the podcast because I was like, she's not a bully. I mean, I said it was crazy, but I was like, you weren't a bully in that moment. And I hate when that word is so flippantly used.
Because I was bullied in high school.
She cursed her out, but she didn't bully her.
But I think and Hannah knows this, the reason I was so heated in that moment was because if she would have just left me alone, I didn't purposely go up to her and like continue to be mean.
Yeah. When did y'all become friends?
Honestly, it was on our way down to Costa Rica on the plane. Her and I sat next to each other both times, which never happens.
Oh.
It was like this rare God-sent thing. And her and I just talked everything out. And it was nice because it was off camera. I know the viewers want to see that, but I think even if we did it on camera, it wouldn't have really been, it maybe wouldn't have been shown and people wouldn't have really cared because there was so much drama going on.
Well, I appreciated it actually, and I didn't notice it at first. It was Becca, my co-host, who couldn't be here today. Shout out to Becca. She noticed it. How when Hannah Ann came back from, what was it, a 3-on-1, 2-on-1, something like that?
Yeah.
You ran up to her and you hugged her, and we were like, see, we can't all get along.
But what's funny is this is the hard thing about the show. Because my drama happened so early on, and that was really the first thing people saw of me. That was their first impression of me.
Yeah.
So it was like me trying to climb a mountain to get people to see who I really was. Whereas for a lot of girls, people got to see who they were. And then they got in drama and it's like, oh, it was just a bad moment.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, oh, well, I can't get past the champagne thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you actually watch the show in Costa Rica, Hannah and I had a one-on-one girl chat. But a lot of people dismissed that.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, and then I went crazy, with calling Sydney what I did. I got a little intoxicated.
Yeah. But that wasn't, I felt like Champagnegate was so big that you really had nowhere to go from up, but like you really went up fast. And I think a lot of people were surprised at the progression of your relationship with Peter.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like whether they liked it or not, that you went and talked to Peter privately, whatever it is, you and Peter had something and you made it all the way to hometowns.
Yep.
And I think people started to change on you.
I would just have to I know the amount of hate I got from Champagnegate. Some of those messages on the board were from me. And I did out people on my own personal account. And I got mixed reviews about it. Some people...
If you're bold enough to send the message, then you're bold enough to let people...
and I
you should be able to show it.
Names on it. I blocked that out. But I even from Bachelor Nation, I got some messages like, hey, you're better than that. You're feeding into their... like what they want, you're feeding the whatever. And I'm like, but I'm not, because I'm not showing who it is. but I also think it's important to put it out there.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy that we got to talk about that tonight because
Good.
I think it's important.
And I think it was important too. And I'm glad that like you guys were so open about, you know, you're sharing your own experiences because it's not always easy. And I think as one person did, everyone else did. And it sounds like you guys had talked with each other too about some of the experiences that you're sharing. And I think when you have that power circle of friends, it really helps you combat this because nobody gets this, what you're going through.
And I think when I put those messages on my Instagram story, I had so many girls that I hadn't really talked to that reached out and was like, this isn't okay. I get this all the time, you know, kind of like, all right, we didn't see eye to eye, but we can level on the fact that we know what we're going through. So that was reassuring. And it almost bonds you in a way.
It does. It does. Real quick, Paradise Summer Games, would you do those?
I think I would like Summer Games more just because I'm such a competitive person. You didn't get to see this because I was on all the glam dates. I would have loved to do tackle football, but I didn't want the bruises. So I'm happy for that fact. But I would have ran over some girls.
Good to know. They're listening. They're listening to this. Also, who does Peter pick? Hannah Ann, Madison, or himself?
I can't decide between the two, so I'm going to say himself.
Okay.
Just because I can decide between. I go back and forth every other day on who he picks.
Nothing wrong with that. Me too. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you
Where's
too.
that bottle of champagne? I wanted some of that. You didn't pop that thing.
I don't know. I have like champagne all over me, but